Hi, it's Chris Davison, and I want to give you a couple of examples of how you can use MetaTrader 4 to do some testing. One is using visual testing, and one is using the optimization function. Now what I'm doing here is I'm testing a beta version of the TrifectaBot EA, and I'm doing it initially in visual mode, which is where I can see all the trading taking place on my screen as it would do in a live environment. And I've got a speed control here, but let me go back a step. The way I select visual mode is by ticking this visual mode box in the strategy tester on MetaTrader. So having ticked that, I can then press the fast forward button and it will start moving a trade forward. And if I move this speed control forward, I can basically go as fast as I would like. And if I see a trade that's occurring, I can say, right, let's have a look at this, let's see what happened. Okay, so I can see back here that the box set up, the retracement box was formed, a trade was placed, and a winning trade was taken. And if I look at the graph of that trade, that's that trade that's just happened there, and previously there were a couple of losers. And I can continue forward, and it gives you a really good idea of what's taking place, of the decisions that are being made. You can see there's a good example of a losing trade where the retracement box is formed, a breakout occurs, but a small stop loss is taken. And it's a really useful way of getting a feel for how an EA is working and the sort of decisions it makes. And as an initial way of testing an EA, whilst it's certainly not quick, it's a lot slower than testing it without the visual mode on. It is a very, very good method of getting a feel. Okay, so I've stopped that, and the second thing I want to tell you is how to use the optimization function. Now you can't use the optimization function in visual mode, so the first thing I need to do is uncheck the visual mode box and check the optimization box. And when I go into the expert properties here, what it allows me to do is to say, at the moment I'm running a test with a stop loss pip set to 40, so every trade will be 40 pips stop loss. But what I want to do is try what would happen if I started off with 25 pips and then in increments of 5 tested it up to 55 pips. So by checking that one box, and then let's say I then want to, for my take profit pips, which I'm currently using 50, I'm going to start at 40, and in steps of 10 I'm going to go up to 70, and I click OK, and I click OK, thank you, and I'm now going to start that optimization process. And what you get up here are two new tabs that come up. One is an optimization graph, which will either give me an equity graph in one dimensions, or if I right click I can choose a two-dimension graph, which will basically says down here we have the stop loss pips and up here we have the take profit pips, and it will shade these different shades of green depending on the results. So the darker the shade, the better the results. And each individual set of results is recorded here, so you can have a look. You can export them to a spreadsheet. Now, as you can imagine, because it's got to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots of stop losses and 4 lots of take profits, that's 28 iterations of, in this case, 10 years worth of or just under 10 years worth of testing. That's going to take quite a while, so I'm going to pause this recording now, let this run in the background, and come back and update you shortly. So just a quick update to the process. It's about 10 minutes later, and you can see the first two tests have been done. If I look at the optimization results, based on, in this case, a stop loss of 25 and a take profit of 40, it's profitable but not particularly profitable. If we move the stop loss up to 30, it's taking fewer trades, but it's getting more profitable. And if we look at the settings here, it's telling me of the 28 iterations it's got to do, it's done 2 of them, it's taken 7 minutes, and it's got another hour and 36 minutes to go. So I'm going to leave it on this and come back in about an hour and 36 minutes and we'll see how it's getting on. So I've been for a walk and had a cup of tea, and an hour and a half later all of the optimization processes have finished. And if you look over here, you can see a grid with green numbers in. And if I click on the darkest one, or just put my cursor over it, it'll give me a balance of £12,575. And you can see this dark area here basically says that a stop loss setting of 40 pips and a take profit of 50 pips is the most profitable of the ones tested. But what you do get is lighter green over here and lighter green over here, suggesting that when you're going to do further work on testing a move to break even or a trading stop or any of the other things that you can change, this is kind of a good place to leave your stop loss. So if I was doing more tests, I would definitely leave my stop loss at about 40 because it seems to give the best results. And I might try experimenting, well, what happens if I go to a take profit of 70 or 80 or 90 to improve that risk reward. All of those results are here, and you can see for each one that was the profit, the number of trades, the profit factor, and you can download this and put it into a spreadsheet, which is always quite useful. And then if what you want to do is see an equity curve for that particular setting, what you can do is just manually put those trades in, remove the optimization checkbox and run it and see what equity curve you get. So I'm going to pause it again and do that for the one we've just seen, and then we can get an idea of the equity curve. So I'm now running this the single instance of the test based on a stop loss of 40 and a take profit of 50, and those trades are now being plotted on this graph. The individual results, the trades that are being taken, are coming up there. Any error messages I'm getting, such as error messages to tell me that it can only place one order at a time, and information messages, are in the journal report. So let's just watch what happens as this the graph goes forward, the equity curve. You notice that it's very jagged. That's because each stop loss is 40 and each takes profit is 50. So as you get a few more winners than losers, it jags upwards. As you get a few losers in a row, it goes downwards. You wouldn't normally simply have a 40 and 50 stop loss and take profit. You might do something with a trailing stop, which would make this look a lot more smooth. So let me pause it again while this finishes running. So there we have it. It's repeated the trades. If you remember, we were looking at this particular instance. We've run it separately, and we get an equity graph like this. It's not a brilliant graph, but it does say that over the last 9.5 years, if you traded this particular system, you'd be up significantly. And although there are areas where there's not much goes on, what you're not getting is big drawdown, and that's really important. And if we want to look at the result of all of that, we can see that the profitable trades were 52% of the time, and each profit trade on average was 49, and the loss was 40. The reason for the difference between the profitable trade being 48.9 and not 50 is to do with things like spreads. So there you have it. That's how to visually test to check the logic of an EA, how to use an optimization technique to identify specific areas that you're going to be using, and then how to run that individual instance and get an equity graph. Thank you for listening.